last 4 years?
I mean, it's been an extremely challenging period for any government. If you think about what was going on in the world over the course of the last 4 years, what's been going on in the region, to have survived in government for that length of time, I think is first of all a remarkable achievement. There's obvious major achievements domestically in terms of bringing down the unemployment rate, more sort of social welfare provisions and stuff like that. But I think the most important thing that I would suggest the government has done is that it has reasserted Kosovo's international personality. That for far too long, governments in Kosovo were willing to just compromise whenever they were asked to by the United States or by the European Union. And that stopped under this government. And it was essential that that stopped, because in my view, Kosovo was very, very close to being pushed into the wilderness from which you would never return again. It was going to be asked to make compromises on this, on that, on everything.
Also, we have achieved a lot when we were coordinated with the international partners, like being part of international organizations, getting new recognitions, and so on. So in the last years, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that is a function of factors beyond the government's control. If you look at, for example, you mentioned recognitions. If you look at the countries that recognize Kosovo, they tend to be countries that are allied with the United States. Now, there's only a certain number of countries that are inclined to be pro-US, pro-Western. And that kind of figure reached its limit around 2014, 2015. So Kosovo's recognitions were unlikely to increase dramatically after that. So long as Serbia continued to refuse to recognize Kosovo, other countries were going to see Kosovo as an example of unilateral cessation that they didn't want to endorse. So that recognition thing was always going to reach a kind of a roof. There was going to be a kind of a ceiling that they couldn't necessarily go past. The other thing is to say that recognition is important, but it doesn't really change the dynamics on the ground. If you got certain countries in Africa or Oceania to recognize Kosovo, it's nice, but does it really make a concrete difference? The key thing that Kosovo needs is recognition from the 5 EU non-recognizers, and that would make a substantive difference to Kosovo's evolution going forward. And much more could have been done and should have been done by governments of Kosovo from 2008 on, and the international community, to put pressure on those 5 countries to do what's sensible and recognize Kosovo.